Hello and welcome. My name's Kate Valentine and I'm the founder of Singing Mama's Choir, and I'm having such fun at the moment meeting and interviewing choir composers. And this morning, today we have Emily Roblyn. Hello, Emily.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Like, really.
Well, I put out a kind of wide invite to a number of choir composers that I know and that are networked together, and I was definitely hoping that you would agree to an interview.
Thanks.
Partly because I've known your songs for longer than I've known you.
Yeah, well, yeah, we haven't known each other very long, have we?
No. So I'd love to use this time just to get to know you a little bit more.
Mm.
And if you're watching this live, then you've probably just had the pleasure of having Emily teach one of her songs, This Is a Wave, on our Songlines project, which you've also done a little video for. So you can go and have a look at that if you haven't seen it live. Okay, so can we just fire away with some questions, Emily?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Emily was one of the composers who said, "I don't need to know the questions beforehand." So
Yeah.
prepared is a nice way of going for it. So let's just talk about your earliest memory of writing a song.
Okay. I I stopped making things up, I think, quite early on. I think I got quite anxious and nervous about, so I did a lot of like learning other songs really right, like particularly. And then there was a period of time, and I was probably a young mum, like in my middle 20s, early 30s, and I was at home a lot and doing that kind of thing. And I had this yearning. I played a little bit of guitar and I had this yearning to like be a songwriter, but I never wrote any songs. Like there was this big block of like, well, if I write a song, it should be as good as Joni Mitchell's, right? Like that's the only thing that had value. And something about having small children, I think, was part of it, where I was like, if I'm not willing to make something that's not good, how am I ever going to get to be good? Do you know what I mean? You have to practice. So you have to be willing to make mistakes to learn and grow. And so I was like, okay, write a song even if it's really bad. And I wrote a song and somebody's like, "Oh, that's really nice." So I only wrote songs on my guitar, and I occasionally would sing them for other people.
That's
And
very
then
cool. Oh, go on.
a little while later, I started teaching choirs. I was still only doing other people's stuff. And then I braved it for a friend's wedding. A friend asked me oh, she said, if only there was a song that, we could just sing in a circle about, that everyone could pick up really quickly. And I said, oh, like this?
Okay, so come back to that because I think I know which song you're talking about there. But we'll hold that thought and go back to the first time you wrote that first song. Can you remember the melody or the tune of that first song that you wrote?
Um, it was something about life being a many-colored mural or something.
Okay.
I
And what
remember.
was the inspiration? So you were just playing with the guitar?
Like that, yeah, I just played a few chords around. I could probably, I wrote lyrics before that. A friend who played beautiful guitar, he said, I think you should write a song. This was a few years before I had any children.
Okay.
And actually, I remember the melody. That was the first melody that I wrote and I sang for other people. It goes, and and inside this hope grows, and this hope is what I want my daughter to know. And inside this hope grows, and this hope is what I want my daughter to know. And I didn't have a daughter yet. I just knew she was
Oh,
coming.
gosh. Wow. Okay. So where did those lyrics come from?
it's all very me based. All of my songs are all like, what do I need right now? What is in my heart? What I try not to overthink things too much. I occasionally do. Those usually aren't the best songs, the overthought ones.
Okay, was that a place of feeling? And then the thing you described, this yearning to be a songwriter. How
Hmm.
long do you remember having that experience? As you said,
I I don't know. Maybe it was always a secret longing, or maybe because I've always sung. I've always sung. I've always performed. I've always,
okay,
that's just like a really huge part of my identity since I was a kid
yeah.
in a small town. Growing up in Canada, I was performing and everyone knew me as a
What were you
singer.
performing, Emily?
Ha ha ha. I sang in church with my mum occasionally. I had solos and things like that. And then we would also do, because my mum's a singer as well. She's big influence in my life. She really encouraged my singing. And she got me performing. She moved us to a different, well, from a small town to a big city so I could go to a special school. She was pretty amazing.
Is this to enhance your singing, especially?
I actually went for theater in the end, but
So,
yeah,
so you were in a small town, moved to
yeah,
a big city to support your
yeah.
education. Back in the small town, what's your earliest memory of singing with your family? Paint us a picture of that.
I don't know, but I remember the first performance I did, and it was a duet with my mum. And it was, I think I might have been 8, and it was in harmony. And I remember learning my part and throwing myself on this bed, this big bed of a friend's. We were learning it at a friend's house. And I went, I can't do it. And I was like really dramatic. And she was like, you can. I know you can. And she was just, and I remember then standing that moment and then standing on the stage at the church singing this song. And
How did it go?
in God's green pastures, fields by his cool waters lie soft. And she had a completely different part that kind of interwove. And so, yeah, I really bless her for having seen my talents at that really,
Yeah.
actually quite a young age.
So, what was your experience like performing that song there, and as a child performing? What was your experience of performing? How, I mean, what did it feel like for you?
I don't, I don't know. I've just always felt I always feel really nervous. Like I've been really nervous before we were going on. I was like, "Whoa." And I always get really anxious, but then something else matters more. Like it's like something bigger. It's like I'm part of something bigger. It's not really about me or something, but it's also the most me I ever am
Mm.
feeling. Do you, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit, but I want to know more. Tell me more. Okay. So, the yearning to write your own songs through childhood also, do you think?
No, I don't think I let myself think that.
Hmm.
No, I don't think I thought, no, that's for somebody who's a real musician or who really knows about these things. So I've had a really long journey to get to a place where I would even call myself a musician.
Okay.
Do you know, like
Yeah, it's a very common theme. So
it's a very common thing, I think.
at what point did you start to own that label?
Not that long ago, I guess. I mean, I taught choirs. I've taught choirs for, okay, so my kids are 19 and 21 now. And I reckon about when my daughter was 5, I probably started. So, 15, 16 years I've been running choirs, and it was probably uh, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago. I did a BA in music. I got a degree in music about 6 years ago, something like that. And during that, I was like, why have I not owned that, what skills I already have? Like that is the main thing I got from doing that degree was, okay, I might not have all the like musical theory and the technical the musical kind of, I don't know what they're even called, where you get grades and that kind of thing. I don't have that kind of learning, but I have a lot of experience. And that experience is something, and so yeah, it's been a while, but
Okay, this is really interesting. I've got a lot of threads open in my mind right now of where I want to go with finding out more about your work and your life that led to your work. So can you just give me an idea of the musical influences for when you were younger? You've mentioned church, and your mum was a singer. Were you sung to as a child? Was she singing
oh
to you?
God, yeah, she was always singing with us, and it was a big like my mum was a performer and a singer, and my dad had a lovely voice, but he was very shy. But we had these kind of like family friends, and we would all get together, and there'd be like double bass, guitar, um, singing, and I loved making harmonies. That was my thing. I just loved finding the harmonies and like singing the harmonies. Um, a lot of that kind of thing happened in church, but my dad listened to a lot of records, Beatles and Van Morrison, Billie Holiday, and like just, and I loved the voices and the melodies and that I just was really drawn to melody and harmony and oh, Pete Seeger and Arlo Guthrie and Holly Near and um, those and Joni Mitchell was like massive. I've actually seen her live once. Ani DeFranco when I was older, massive. I just think she's fantastic. That was, yeah.
So you've
So
had that. So that I'm just imagining now. You've just said that 6 years ago you did a music degree, but before that you had quite a music education with all that exposure to all those musicians and your parents singing. And
massive. And I went to an arts high school in Toronto and did chamber music and like I have a lot of experience. I just just felt really,
yeah. So
you know,
let's get back to that moment when somebody asked you for a wedding.
ha ha ha.
Compose a song. Tell us about that because this is one of the song you're describing is one of your big hits. And just to put it in a little bit of context, so I'm leading a network of choirs, and so I know a lot of leaders are leading women's groups and mixed groups also in song, and pretty much everyone I think has heard of this song if not taught it in their choir. So let's hear about this
I
moment.
know, it's so weird. I've actually gone somewhere and someone's gone, "Oh, I've got a song to share," and sung this song, and it was like, wow, it's amazing. Yeah, because it was for somebody else. It was just like it was so simple. I was like, "What, like this?" And she's like, "Yeah, yeah, that's great. Let's just do that." I was like, "Oh, but tomorrow?" Like it was literally the next day. It was not. It was like there wasn't enough time to get judgmental,
Ah, wow.
and there wasn't enough time to, and because it was for somebody else and
Yeah.
for this thing that I wanted to be able to offer something for. It wasn't about me. So it was like,
Interesting.
great, okay. And then I taught it at the Natural Voice Network annual gathering. Now this must have been like 12 years ago, more than 12 years ago that I taught it. And then I kind of disappeared for about 12 years. And I came back and everybody knew this song and it was
Wow.
very weird.
So give me the song briefing for you to write this song 24 hours before the wedding. Is that right? What was the briefing? It was,
Really simple, that everyone could feel like they could sing, and that had this sense of the whole community. It was like being there and their intention of love or supporting this love. And I was, yeah.
wow. Oh, it's so beautiful to hear that because maybe you should just sing the melody now. Just, as we're talking about it.
Hold you in our circle, hold you in our love, hold you in our circle, hold you in our love.
And I'm because I've had the joy of singing it, I'm hearing all the harmonies that go with it. But it is one of those, it's such a simple song, but so powerful and accessible to everybody.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. And I probably wouldn't have let that one ever be heard if it was, I wouldn't have valued it.
Yeah. I love what you've just said. There was no time for the judgment.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
such a top tip.
Yeah. And I still, I was so surprised when you said, "Oh my God, this song and that song." And I've had a couple other voice teachers that I really respect, and kind of maybe even look up to, and they go, "Oh gosh, I love that song." I think, "Oh, really? It's not real. It's not a real song because I wrote it." It's that sort of sense. Like I have only just started in the last year or so teaching my songs to my choirs.
Right.
So
So,
other choirs were singing my songs and my choirs weren't
and why is
really.
that? Why were you holding back from, or were you holding back? What was that all
It's
about?
probably that it's very vulnerable.
Hmm.
You, because what if they don't like it? I really, there's a lot of times where I'm like, okay, I'm not strong enough to hear if someone doesn't like this, so I'm just not going to share it. Because not everyone's going to like everything, but it's just that kind of like, oh no, that feels too vulnerable.
It's incredibly vulnerable, isn't it? That, I mean, let's open that up a little bit more, because to write something, I mean, you now know, you've got the confidence to know that the songs that I met before I met Emily, that came from Emily, are so well received. People adore
Mm.
them, and they are simple and they're easy, but they're also deep. You know.
Well, okay. And I want to say, so I actually have really strong intentions when I'm writing songs now. And I want to sing songs that I feel, that make me feel something or that help me feel something,
Mm.
that help me express it. I love singing gospel for that reason. I love singing spirituals. I love singing teze. I love singing things that make me feel, or even pop songs that make me feel. I love them, like, and I was like, that's what I want to write. I want to write things that make me feel something. But I also, um, I don't know. I don't know if this is a clear link, but I just want to mention Nick Prater at this point because he was somebody that I thought, yeah, like that. Songs that that feel accessible, feel like I can own them in myself, and they feel like they've just kind of landed on the planet and they're not over contrived and they're not trying too hard. They're just here for us. And yeah, I have a huge place of honoring in my heart, particularly around my songwriting to him. Yeah.
That's wonderful, and I'm with you on that. Yeah,
Mm.
a gifted bringer of song. Um,
Yeah, and he support, he said to me once, "Oh, come into his choir, come teach a song." I was like, wow, it's so generous. He was very generous, beautiful man that I felt very encouraged and supported by. So mm.
and so let's move to another moment where I haven't shared this with you, but there was another song, "Fire in My Heart,"
Oh
um,
yeah.
you wrote,
Yeah.
um, and I learned this at a big choir gathering called Voice Camp, Unicorn Voice Camp,
Oh
and
yeah.
it became it's a long camp. It's like 9 days or something.
Mm.
And there's always usually a song that becomes the kind of theme tune for the camp. It's an annual gathering that's happened over many years. And I think, I'm pretty sure that this song became a bit of an anthem in your absence. Someone taught
Mm.
it on your
I
on
was meant to be there. I was
your
gutted I couldn't be there. It was
yeah.
but it was really nice you were all singing it.
Yeah, and you were very present in that. That although you weren't there, it was your song was very much there throughout the camp.
Mm.
And yeah, can you talk about when that song came? Maybe is there a process that you follow for bringing those kind of songs, or what happens? How do you do it? Do you use tools? What does it feel like when it comes? That kind of thing.
I mean, sometimes they're conscious. What's the song theme at the moment? Like, what's the thing that's in me that I'm interested in, maybe. And it was a period of time where I had this like rah in my body, and it's not a very lots of my songs are about love and being here, and I was like, how do I be with this? How do I be true and honest with this? And then I kind of sometimes, as a composer, like as kind of stepping into being, okay, I'm really going to do this in a conscious way. I also sometimes set myself like, I'd like to write a song in this kind of genre, like folk or, or whatever. This was like, I want to start with the bass line. Okay, like, but I want it to be really simple. I was like, what if I just go ba ba ba, just on, really simple. So yeah, it was started with the bass line and that feeling, and it just was like, okay, there's a fire here, there's a fire here, there's a fire here, and then it was like, oh right, it's that, and then the next line just kind of came,
So
and then
just
yeah.
to just to stop you there, anyone that isn't familiar with natural voice songs and isn't familiar with this song, can you just demo that bass line just to demonstrate just the simplicity? Because I think this is important, because people that don't know about natural voice choir maybe think that you have to be able to really understand music or practice and rehearse, but these songs are so enjoyable to just keep singing and keep singing, keep singing.
The joy of them, isn't
Yeah,
it? It's
yeah.
the absolute.
Mm.
Anyway, so it's just,
Yeah.
there's a fire in my heart, 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 burning for peace. There's a fire. And it
You've
just
got that. You've got that bass line. Then you wanted to start with the bass, and you've got this fire. What's happening next?
I love the tenor line. The tenor line always gets that kind of, I'm gonna take the chord and do this little, and this is burning for peace, burning for peace. Yeah. And I have this little loopy app. Actually, this is one of the things. It's like it was a new app that you just record one thing, and then what's it called, Easy Looper or something. It's a great app
Okay.
on the iPhone.
Yep.
And are we allowed to say any of that? Anyway.
Oh,
And you can just add a track, add a track, add a track. Normally I have to be at my computer with my track, with my recording program and the big setup. And it's quite or I record a quick idea into my phone. I'll go, oh, this idea, and I'll just record one, and you can only hear one line now but this allowed me to be like anywhere and go, oh, I've got this idea, and I can kind of hear this other thing coming, and I'll just put that on top, and then I hear this other thing coming, and you can just erase one and try another. It's great. Yeah.
top tip, definitely.
Oh, that's
People are making notes here.
it.
Great. Okay, so let's see. more about the yeah, you've got. I've looked on your website,
Mhm.
emilysings.com.
Yes.
Yeah, emilysings.com. Good.
That was made such a long time ago when I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. Was I going to
It's
teach
great now.
choirs? Was I going to sing
Ah,
professionally? What was that? I don't know. It'll be singing something. I'll just.
definitely, if you're watching, go and look at it. It's great. But I've noticed on the compositions, you've got 3 songs on there.
Hmm.
Have we got more going on there soon?
There's a lot. I have a lot of songs, and but I don't know how to sell them.
Okay, let's talk about
I
that.
don't know how to put them up there, and
So
so it's on my list of things to do.
that's one of my questions. How do you get paid for your work?
Um, so I consciously gave out Hold You in Our Circle to the world. I just thought I love the songs that feel like they belong to us all. You know, the oral tradition that the natural voice practitioners and it's different now. It's NVN, isn't it? Natural Voice Network. Um, Sort of upholds is so important to me. And I was like, okay, well, then I get behind this. I'm gonna let this go. This is for everybody. And then when I started writing more songs, it was like, oh, okay, there's people teaching this song I don't know and who don't know me. Like people did not know I wrote Hold You in Our Circle until recently, a lot of people. And that was fine because I'd consciously let that one go. Um, Now I get, so I also gave out another one. The Fire in Our Heart was another one that I was like, okay, I'm teaching this at the Natural Voice gathering, and I know that people will teach it, and that's fine. I'm consciously doing that. And a lot of people have got in touch and said, I'm teaching this song. I'd like to give you £10 for it. And at first I was saying no, because other people were teaching it for free. That didn't seem fair. And then people were like, that's not all right. I want to pay you. And I thought, oh, okay. So it's really nice. I've started to accept that. And it also means that I feel like, okay, now I've got more songs that I can ask for money from as well. I'd also love to go and give workshops, like if I can do a workshop somewhere, I'd get paid in that way, if you see what I mean. Go and do a day's workshop of teaching my songs, but nobody's going to ask me if they don't know who I am. And
Well, this is interesting because I mean, when we say how do you get paid for your work, how do you get paid for a song? It's essentially you're paying for the copyright, and
yeah,
I think with just for people listening, it's commonly missed that of course you can't make a copy of the Beatles back, album and copy it because that's against copyright, and people know that. Yet there's this absolute generosity and coming from so many people giving their songs because they want to express, and they it's kind of it's a big conversation for choir composers and choir leaders, because choir leaders are, frankly, these are our tools of our trade, and without them we'd have no choirs, simple as that. And so it's a really important balance that we need to keep talking about and consider. And when you say that people didn't know Hold You in Our Circle was your song, and that was a song 12 years ago. Since then you've done a degree. Obviously that would have cost money for you to have gone and taken that degree. And when you say people didn't know it was yours, how is that you've heard it back? I mean, how, like, is there something there that the song was carried and it wasn't taught with like my practice is I teach a song and I say this is Emily Robbins and it was written by this, and
yeah. I mean, it's not a binary this or that thing for me. For me, it's very um, who owns the songs that are given. Like there are folk songs we'll never know who wrote them. And there's folk songs that traveled from one place to another and they have a different story in one place than the other. It's not that I don't think there's a moral issue with that. I don't believe I don't believe in owning songs in that way. And yet I believe in honoring those people whose work it is
Mm,
to write the songs that we love, that feel like ours, that we can then
mm,
we can all own. But we don't want these people not to be able to pay our rent. Like these are the like that's the thing. How do I find the balance of being able to pay my rent and not be live on this survival edge because my work is one that isn't easy to, I don't know, I don't get a set wage for it or anything. So that for me is the question.
mm.
I don't, and there is an honoring, but I consciously let that song go, and it actually felt really touching to hear other people sing it and feel like it was theirs. And I didn't know who wrote it, and that then I could have that. Does it make sense? I'm making sense because
Yeah,
it is a
absolutely.
complicated thing in
Yeah.
my mind as well. And like the fire in my heart, I let go, but with a little I was still holding a little like line, like I want you to know that this is by me because I want people to know I'm writing songs now and I'm stepping into
Well, I think it,
that part of myself. So I want to be known for this.
yeah.
And yes, I would like money, and yes,
Mm.
but I still want people to sing it, and I want people to sing it whether they can afford to pay me or not.
Well, it's another brave step, isn't it? It's a, musicians aren't famously paid enough, honoured enough in monetary
Mm,
terms, um,
mm,
and I think, yeah, it's another important step. But I know for me and for our choir singers across our network, it deepens the experience of singing when we know the origin of the song and we know more context.
absolutely.
It really deepens it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think people, very like you've experienced, many people want to be able to give back.
Mm,
um,
it's true. No, it is true. It absolutely is
and
true.
unlike any other, we can enjoy music by buying albums or streaming, paying for a streaming service, and everyone who listens, even, the artist will be remunerated somehow, um, although not enough in my opinion. But for choir singers, that's not the case. It's just the leader. So it is an important conversation to keep having, I think.
Mm,
And we want to bring back singing as a culture. We want
this
to
is
bring it
it.
back.
And that for me is more important.
Mm, mm,
Or it's can't really, I mean, yeah, no, this might go a little bit like, woo, but really, we want a different paradigm, like where it's not like, oh, I can't sing this, even though speaks to my heart. It feels like I love this song. I can't sing it because I can't afford it. I don't believe in that. Like, I I so passionately believe in the power of song for our lives. Like, so how do we keep that openness, that giving, that generosity feeling,
mm,
and keep and honor the writers and the teachers and
mm.
it's partly why, I believe in the network honoring the people who've come before us,
Yeah.
because they've been struggling all along too. Like,
There's something in the, I haven't got a question formed here, but there's something in what we were talking about earlier, the real pain and the kind of, um, the narrative that, I can't be a songwriter, and I'm, then the vulnerability of sharing a song, not being able to have the confidence to share with your own choir who you're very close with and you love, because of the fear of not, there's something in that, like, um, does that get in the way of writing and releasing more songs? um,
if I'm honest, probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Pro a little less
mm,
so, but it probably gets in the, it's probably more unconscious now in the sense of like, that's the last thing I give time to.
okay.
Like, I haven't worked out how to set my website up
Yeah.
that I can sell songs. I
Okay.
haven't, oh, I'll do that next week. Oh gosh, maybe not this week. I'll wait.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. All right.
So it's more of a subtle thing. If somebody, it's more of like, oh, I'll just wait here until somebody asks. I
Okay.
won't like put myself out there.
Okay.
probably.
All right. Well, I'm just conscious of the time, and I could definitely keep talking to you for hours, and I hope we have another conversation again. But just the last couple of little questions, because lots of food for thought there. What what's happening at the moment in your world of work that's really lighting you up?
Um, well, I'm for the last few years, I've been exploring this kind of combination of embodied presence work and singing, because for me they are combined. That's been my doorway into meditation and that kind of thing. Um, and a lot of my songs have ended up being about coming from that place of like, oh, this is what's really happening in me. And so I've been running some retreats at Sharpham House called Sound, Song, and Silence. And they've all been cancelled, obviously, because of the lockdown. But there are will hopefully be more, and if not there, then somewhere. It's work that I'm really um, I don't know. It feels like it brings all these pieces together. Been doing some improv stuff with a woman named Bryony Greenhill, which I'm sure lots of people will have heard of. And that kind of in the moment singing combined with this sort of embodied presence work that I've been doing for about 10 years now or something, called Movement of Being. And that's beautiful work if people want to check that out. And it kind of combines all those pieces with my teaching and my songwriting, and I'm now doing that online once a month, and it's called Sound, Song, and Silence. So
Oh,
I'd love to mention that because people, hopefully I'll
I've
be doing
got.
that for a long time. Oh yeah, yeah, I love
Anyone can come along. Do they have to?
anyone can come along, yeah, and it's online on Zoom and
And
just
on your
about.
website?
Is it on my website? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I'll put it on my website. I
Is it on
will
your
do that this
Facebook?
week. It is on, there's a Facebook page called Sound, Song, and Silence.
Okay, great.
I could send you the link for that.
We'll put it into the link of this video. We'll put all the relevant links. They'll be right there.
I see. I told you I'm not very good at that kind of
I
thing.
will make it happen. Don't worry. And okay, so one final thing. Have you got any top tip, any message that you'd like to give to any budding composer or any composer already working with song?
I think you don't have to call yourself a composer. Anybody who's got a song in their heart should just sing it, whether somebody else is going to listen or not, and sing it. Start singing it. And if you like it, sing it over and over again, and then you'll be making a part up. It'll be a song.
And if they've got one and they're frightened to show it to the world, aka me.
I can't believe it. You've got a ready group of people. I mean, who am I talking to? I've done the same thing. Choose some strangers who you don't know, and I don't know. I think it is a brave thing, and when you're ready, I mean, it takes a jumping. It does take a jumping. I'm going to be brave moment, and just remember. This is what I tell myself. I say, remember the songs that I have received, and feel brave enough to be willing to give back. Like somebody else was brave enough to give me this song. Can I be brave enough to offer this?
That's a great tip. Great.
You
Brilliant.
know, it's something, it's not yeah, it kind of takes it out of the sort of, yeah.
Lovely. Oh, thank you so much, Emily. It's
Oh,
been
I've loved
a pleasure.
talking to you, and it's been beautiful, all the work you do, all the projects that you think up and then bring to the world. You've got a massive gift. Thank you so much for.
Well, what's leading the way for us is collaboration. So, um, hopefully an ongoing relationship of collaboration between us, um,
Beautiful. What
and we can sing together in person.
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh, can you imagine?
It'll be so good.
It'll
Won't
happen.
it be amazing when we can do that again? It'll just be like,
I know. And if this is entirely out of context for anyone watching on YouTube in the future, it was 2020 when we had to just meet on Zoom for however long. Anyway, lots of love to you, and thank you so much for all your songs, Emily.
Thank you. Thank you so much for loving them.
Looking forward to the rest.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.